You could call him a misogynist, or you can identify the problematic behavior and try to figure out how to get to the other side of that behavior, right? Because the behavior is what we're trying to interrupt. Hello everyone, my name is Cyrilda Summers McGee, and this is the Ask Us campaign in partnership with the Portland Business Journal. It is an opportunity for you to ask us any question that has to do with people, culture, workplace, workforce, leadership, management, and I will give you a direct response, the kind of response I would give to clients and family members, okay? So let's get started. All right, and our final question submitted to the Ask Us campaign in partnership with the Portland Business Journal is as follows. Discussions about racism, sexism, misogyny, and white supremacy are at an all-time high in my company. Okay. Leadership is indeed all white, but I don't think they are necessarily supremacists. And the BIPOC staff don't seem to be able to move up the ladder as quickly as their white counterparts. And this is a problem. But what's happening inside my company is becoming very unsettling. White people, men especially, so white men especially, they're saying, are terrified to be called a sexist, racist, misogynist, or supremacist. And my peers use that language very often and cavalierly, most of them being non-BIPOC staff. What can we do about the current state of fear, intimidation, and systemic inequity that's happening in my company? Oh, that is a juicy topic. Here's my response. Thank you so much for submitting that question. You know, what's really interesting about this question is that it's happening a lot. It's happening to a lot of companies and organizations where, you know, with the civil unrest that happened after the George Floyd murder this past summer, lots of conversations sparked inside the organizations, inside corporations, and a lot of people became more educated on the ways in which systemic inequities manifest in the workplace and in humanity. So folks became more aware, they became more knowledgeable and well-versed in understanding and identifying when sexism, racism, homophobia, misogyny, and supremacy type behavior present themselves. So that's a good thing. People are more aware of what's happening. But this is my response to your question. I think you all should focus on the problematic behavior and reserve the terms, the name calling for, you know, worst case scenario, right? So for instance, let's say that you're in a meeting and a white male CEO chronically, consistently, persistently is cutting off the women in the meetings. This happens. This still happens today. It happens pretty consistently. Workplace change comes in and we help to mediate some of the frustrations as a result of this, you know, interruption propensity can have on the culture of an organization. Okay, you could call him a misogynist, or you can identify the problematic behavior and try to figure out how to get to the other side of that behavior, right? Because the behavior is what we're trying to interrupt. Let's say, for instance, that there is performative behavior that's happening from leadership or management, right? They're talking about, you know, Black Lives Matter and diversity, equity, and inclusion and the Latinx community, and they're talking about it and preaching about it, but then the systems don't follow. And you can say, this is systemic racism, and therefore you're being a systemic racist, thereby stopping the entire conversation. Or you can address the problem that you've identified, which is a legitimate problem. Is when we start to affix a name to it, right? Like, you're a racist, you're a supremacist, you're a sexist. It really does interrupt our ability to affect change, right? To stop the things that are causing harm to people from happening. It stops that. So my recommendation here is to figure out how to have a conversation about the challenges that are presenting themselves inside your organization, and then address those challenges directly. I would also say this. Instead of putting up your defenses when a person says that someone is being, homophobic or racist or sexist, ask them how or why. Not as an interrogation, right? Like, prove to me that this is homophobic. No, ask them for the instance or the encounter that occurred so that you can actually get an example, an illustration of a problematic pattern that's been identified in the organization. And then you can start to address that problem, right? So don't shut the conversation down, right? Propel yourself into the conversation. Ask them, can you just give me an example when you've seen, homophobic, sexist, racist, misogynistic behavior, whatever the terminology is, whatever the language is, give them the floor to kind of paint the picture of what's happening for them, okay? So that's my response. If you have a follow-up question, if you've got more detail that you would like for me to coach you on, let us know. You can jump back into the Ask Us form, or you can send us a direct email at hello@workplacechanges.com, or you can call us, okay? Because ultimately, this language will erode the culture of your organization. And the objective here is not to create a toxic environment and to create challenges inside the organization, interpersonal challenges. It is to stop the behavior that is causing harm to other individuals. And let's never lose focus of that, right? Let's never lose focus of that. So thank you so much for submitting your question. Please keep them coming. We really appreciate you just trusting us with these kinds of sensitive matters. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also connect with us on LinkedIn and follow us on Instagram. I can't wait to hear your next question.